Once again, good morning to all of you. As Mariatu mentioned, my name is Usman Bojang. I'm the Director of Trade at the Ministry of Trade. We want to welcome you to this press briefing for the second time of recent. Basically, this one, we are trying to focus on essential commodities. We want to update the public on, as we start Ramadan today, on the stock level of essential commodities in terms of availability as we, runs into Ramadan, and also to give you some price levels of these essential commodities and some of the factors that are affecting the price situation in the market, as well as the effort made by government to try to contain those prices in the market.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment on the first day of Ramadan 2024. I wish to use this opportunity on behalf of my entire staff, first to ask them to forgive me for all the pushing around and all the stepping on toes and all that, but also ask the Gambian people to forgive us for anything probably we have done over the last year that offset or somehow offended one or the other. So we pray that this Ramadan brings a lot of blessings to this country. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming. There is no doubt that the media plays a significant part in educating the public, but also sharing vital information like the one we have today. So when we invite you and you attend, we also are humbled because you could have stayed away and we would have been left with information that no one will have access to. So thanks for coming to this very important press briefing, which, as the Director of Trade has already alluded to, is aimed at sharing with the public our information, our knowledge through the media regarding the current situation with essential commodities, which is everyone's business, the stock levels and the prices as per our data in relation to food commodities. As we know, Gambia is a net food importer. Virtually all the food we eat is coming from outside, but we will be elaborating on that as we go. We want to share with the general public some factors that are responsible for prices, both externally and internally, that are currently dictating the prices in the market, so that when we go out, we are met by this price hikes sometimes, and a lot of questions are asked. So this press conference should help us share with you from the expert perspective why some of those things are having an impact on our pockets as we go. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of the Gambia is committed to food security in this country and also ensuring availability and accessibility of the essential food commodities for the general public. As a result, this ministry monitors commodities on a weekly basis to the best of our ability, and the main objective of this exercise is to ensure that the ministry has first-hand information on stock levels and prices of these commodities at all times. That helps us intervene in a timely manner and also inform policy decisions, as well as engage the importers and other relevant stakeholders to avoid shortages, while at the same time ensuring price stability. Permit me at this point to share with you the current stock levels of food commodities, the main ones, the essential ones, as at 4th of March, and we tried to get you the most relevant, the most recent numbers. I'll be sharing this document with you after the conference, and I have a lot of tables, you know, economists and tables. I will share these documents with you so that you can make more sense of those tables. But if I read them out like this, some of them may not make sense unless you're able to lay hands on the tables yourselves. But this one is essential because people will always say a lot of things around food, because food is everyone's business. Like I said earlier, it's very important that we feed ourselves. As a result, sometimes we share information, even on social media, that is not accurate. Recently, somebody called me in the middle of the night and said to me, I understand there is no rice in the country and people are panic buying. I said, well, there is rice. Rice has just arrived yesterday. And I'll be giving you the details. That's why this table I'll not jump. I want to go through this because it talks about stock levels. Very important. Rice is number one. As at 4th of March, we had in this country 24,973 metric tons of rice. We're still expecting stock 229 metric, 2,000, I take that again, expected stock, which is floating cargo, 2,295 metric tons, in addition to the 24,973 metric tons that was here by default. I know some of them might have been consumed by today. And this expected figure mentioned is as at March 4th, expected to land in the Gambia on the 15th of March. So before the end of March, this cargo is expected to offload at the port of Banjul. Sugar, which is another very, very important one during Ramadan and Lent, 17,115 metric tons were in the country on the 4th of March. With sugar, we know there are efforts to lift more sugar, but we are not yet privy to information regarding any floating cargo of sugar, apart from 5,000 metric tons that UNA Enterprise is expecting. It's already afloat heading to Banjul. So the 17,115 metric tons will be complemented by a further 5,000 metric tons, which is heading to UNA stores. Flour, as at 4th of March, 1,703 metric tons, and that's in addition to the fact that production at our 2 mills continue. So there is no likelihood that flour will also be short. I know we've just received, appears we were clearing a letter yesterday or today from Ecotra, which also brought in some flour. So just to emphasize that there is no shortage of flour in town and no likelihood that we will run out of flour even in the next 3 months. Edible oil. Current stock is over 3 million liters, 3,062,250, 500 liters of oil in the country. And let me say that again, 3,062,500 liters of oil were in the country by the 4th of March. Onions, we were at 309 metric tons. Potatoes, 270 metric tons. Whole chicken, we were at 200 metric tons. And the legs, chicken legs, we were at 2,033 metric tons as at 4th of March. And I can say comfortably, we are expecting more than 26,000 liters of oil. It's afloat heading to Banjul, expected on the 20th of March. 160 metric tons of whole chicken heading to Banjul, expected on the 12th of March. 108 metric tons of chicken legs expected heading to Banjul, expected on the 12th of March. The stock levels of rice increased significantly from 5,254 metric tons in February to 24,973 metric tons in the week of 4th of March, which is 375% increase in quantity. This current stock level of rice is sufficient for the month of Ramadan. In addition, Laura Food Company is expecting 2,295 metric tons of rice again by 15th of March 2024, while Una Enterprise is expecting a 15,000 metric tons from Pakistan, hopefully before the end of March. In addition to that, they have another 180 containers of rice heading to Banjul. We're hoping before the end of March, in addition to the sugar I talked about earlier, 5,000 metric tons. So the stock levels of sugar has increased considerably, as we have also noticed from those figures, from 1,640 metric tons in February 2024 to 17,115 plus the 5,000. The stock level of flour and edible oil, onions and potatoes have all increased in the month of March 2024, and from our assessment and the data in relation to consumption by the population, we are currently comfortable for the whole of Ramadan right up to the end of March and into April. Even if new stocks were not to arrive, we are comfortable that we have enough to feed the country right up to the end of March. With regards to onions, in addition to imported ones, MK Agro Farms has started supplying the market with local onions, and the farm is expecting to produce 4,000 metric tons this year from 2,500 last year. MA Karafi Food is also expecting to harvest 1,500 metric tons, which would be in the market around the end of March 2024. Bakaf is another industrial producer of vegetables, expecting output of 2,500 metric tons of onions this year, and the farm would begin supplying the market around the first week of March. The three farms are expected together to produce a total of 8,500 metric tons of onions this year. In addition to industrial farms, the women onion producers across the country are also expecting to start their harvest and supply the market by mid-March into April. With regards to potatoes, MA Karafi Food is expected to produce a total of 6,000 metric tons of potatoes this year, which is an improvement over 4,500 from last year's harvest. The farm will also start supplying the market with this potato around 15th of March 2024. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, let me now turn to the average wholesale and retail prices of essential food commodities as of 4th of March as follows. Again, this table is important for me to go through. The average wholesale price is a reflection of the stock levels or the stock level table. As stocks of most commodities increased in the month of March, we observed a general stability in the wholesale price, except for a few which have increased slightly, including rice and chicken legs. So rice, as of 12th of February 2024, and mark you, we are picking the averages. As at February 12, 2024, the bag of American rice was going for 1,850 generally. By 4th of March 2024, the average price is 2,150, about a 16.2% change in the price. Sugar, 50 kilograms, and the American rice is also 50 kilograms I just talked about. As of 12th of March 2024, average price was 2,750. As of 4th of March, 12th of February, beg your pardon, 2,750. And as at March 4th, that bag of sugar has turned to 2,850, a 3.6% increase. Flour, 12th February was average 1,900. 4th of March, 1,950, 2.6% increase. Edible oil, 20-liter gallon, 1,195 was the average price on the 12th of February. By the 4th of March, we have an average cost of 1,200, a 0.4% increase in that. Onions, the 18 kilogram bag, was 1,195 on the 12th of February average. On the 4th of March, it rose to $1,200, a 0.4% increase. Potato, 20 kilograms, 1,200 as the 12th of February. And on the 4th of March this year, we were buying it at $1,250, which is a 4.2% increase. Whole chicken, metric tons, this is supposed to be not the metric ton, but the carton. Yeah, the whole chicken carton, 1,900 was the price at the 12th of February. We saw a slight drop in that to 1,850 on average. That is minus 2.6% on the 4th of March. And chicken legs, $1,056 on the 12th of February, became 1,100, a 4.7% increase on the 4th of March. And we have brought in cement here, which is one of our most important commodities in this economy, given the significance of the construction industry. Cement on the 12th of February 2024 was $375 per bag on average. We have seen a sharp rise on that again to $410 on the 4th of March, meaning a 9.3% increase. So the average retail price of most of the essential food commodities continued to increase in the month of March. The significant increase was shown on rice, sugar, and cement. The price of American rice has increased, as I read from the table, and perhaps we should just move to the next table, because that's just a description of the table, which I said I was going to jump, but decided to go through. Now, one may ask, what are some of the factors contributing to the price hikes? International prices play a part. I said in the introduction that some of the factors are external, while others are internal, and we'll try to go through all of them. I'll give you the international prices in United States dollars of a metric ton of rice in December. Compared that to January, compared that to, January and December, and give you the changes. So the rice we are currently offloading in Banjul must have been shipped or negotiated or sought within that duration. And that's why it's important that we have a conversation around that. So in December, a metric ton of rice in US dollar was $629.6. In January, that increased to $648.9 US per metric ton, which was a 3.7 increase in the cost of a metric ton of rice. With India, I will deal with that specifically because of the concession we have with the Indian government. Sugar in the international market. The price in December 2023 was $707.15 cents, US dollars, $707 US dollars 15 cents per metric ton of sugar. And in January, there was a slight drop to 659.84, minus 6.7%. Edible palm oil, which sometimes we do not report on, but have the data on. This time around, we are reporting on it. It was $814 US in December, but in January, it became $845, 1.8% increase in the cost at the international level. The international prices of rice has been increasing since December. The prices of Thailand A1 increased by 3.7% from US dollar 629.6 per metric ton in December 2023 to 648.9 metric tons in January 2024. The world price of sugar is currently declining from 707 in December to 659.84 in January. The international price of edible oil have also continued to increase from 814 per metric ton in December 2023 to 845, as highlighted above. The negotiated concession, this is another important area to expound on. The negotiated concessional price of Indian rice imported by Gambian suppliers was $405 US per metric ton at CIF. CIF meaning cost insurance and freight. Cost insurance and freight, bringing it right up to Banjul. Whilst the lowest negotiated price this year has increased to $490 US per metric ton. So what we were getting for 405 in 2023 is now 490 after a lot of negotiations in Banjul. Export bans. Following the COVID-19 pandemic in 2022, and somebody said to me recently, we should stop blaming COVID-19. I'm not sure when that blame is going to stop because COVID just changed everything. Following the pandemic in 2022, trade restrictive measures in the form of quotas and export bans were adopted by some developed countries, including India. These export restrictions were adopted by these countries to ensure food security in their domestic economies. The export bans disrupted the global market with upward pressures on commodity prices. These have direct effects on the prices of essential commodities in the domestic markets of the net importing countries, particularly the least developed countries like the Gambia. Remember, when we started, the emphasis was on the fact that we import literally everything we consume. Another factor that plays a part in all this is the exchange rate of our dalasi against major global currencies. The US dollar, which is the most popular currency for trade globally, has not been very, very, very generous with our dalasi recently. We know that in January, as at the 8th of January 2024, I'll give specific dates here, the US dollar was trading in the Gambia at $63.94. By the 7th of March 2024, the US dollar is trading now, as at now, is trading at 66.56. This is a change of about 4.1%. The euro, 69.86 on the 8th of January. By 7th of March, it was trading at 73.01 dollars per euro, 4.5% change. The British pound was selling at 81.26 on the 8th of January 2024. By the 7th of March 2024, it was trading at 84.96, which is a 4.5% change. The CFA 5,000 was $523.75 on the 8th of January, and by the 7th of March, it was trading at $530.35 butus, 1.2% change. During the first quarter of 2024, the dollar has depreciated against all major trading currencies, on average 4.3% for US dollar, euro, pound, sterling. In the same quarter, it has also slightly depreciated against the CFA by 1.2%. This is important, ladies and gentlemen, because you cannot buy any of those commodities for sale in the Gambia, where you receive your compensation for the same products in Dalasi. You cannot buy any of them with your Dalasi outside the country. So the foreign currencies play a part, particularly in relation to the conversions to dollars in order to pay the suppliers of these commodities. To contain and mitigate the external shocks on the stocks and prices of essential commodities in the domestic market, that's the Gambia, the government of the Gambia has adopted a number of measures, including: number one, the government has successfully negotiated with the Indian government to secure a waiver for the importation of rice in 2023. Accordingly, the government of India allocated the first quota of 100,000 metric tons to the Gambia. And following this allocation, my ministry worked with a number of importers to lift the consignments. A total of 63,650 metric tons only were imported under the waiver during the period 2023. The second quota allocation of 50,000 metric tons was also approved for the Gambia government in 2023, making a total of 150,000 metric tons in total for the Gambia from India. Following the approval of the second quota, the ministry has been working with some importers to utilize the quota. The new allocations are currently under price negotiations, or the new allottees are currently under price negotiations with importers and the relevant Indian authorities through the support of my ministry and the Gambian High Commission in India. The plan is to have the first consignment in Banjul during the first week of Ramadan. Two of the suppliers have successfully negotiated the price of $490 per metric ton CIF Banjul, which is the lowest price. Number three, the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment has also requested an additional 150,000 metric tons of rice as a new allocation for 2024-2025. The ministry has also requested from the Indian government to include sugar and oil as part of the support package for waiver in 2024. It is envisaged that these consignments will increase the supply of these commodities and therefore exert a downward pressure on the prices in the domestic market. 4, the ministry also continues to work collaboratively with the Gambia Ports Authority to provide priority berthing of vessels carrying essential commodities. This is important to avoid demurrage charges that may be transferred eventually to the consumer by the importers, because once they pay additional charges at the ports, the consumers will be at the receiving end. So the Gambia Ports Authority have been very collaborative in this area, and we are grateful to the management and the board of the Gambia Ports Authority for this. Number 5, in addition, where critically necessary, and because of the significance of foreign currency in these transactions, commercial banks and other MTOs, the transfer agencies and bureaus, to access foreign currency and help our traders clear their letters of credit with their suppliers. All these measures have helped not only to ease pressure on prices, but ensure availability of essential commodities. In conclusion, I would like to once again reiterate the full and continued commitment of the government of the Gambia to ensure that essential food commodities are available and accessible to the general public. My ministry will continue to monitor the stocks and prices and adopt appropriate policy measures to achieve that objective, especially during the month of Ramadan and the month of Lent. And ladies and gentlemen of the press, I want to dovetail into this text the fact that as a government-wide approach to addressing this challenge of price hikes, we are working very closely with the ministries of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and the former GGC, now National Food Safety, and something I always struggle to bring the full name, but I know you know GGC. The idea is that we need to boost our domestic production. If anybody is to be told that some of our companies are currently contemplating taking some of their onions, the onions they have produced, because they are susceptible to perishability, post-harvest loss, and all these things, they are contemplating taking their produce to other countries to sell. It's because we are producing onions in the country. Potatoes, whatever the quantities are from M.A. Karafi, they bring about food sovereignty, which is even a more desirable state than food security. Food security is when it's available. Food sovereignty is when the country that is consuming it is in a position to produce what it consumes. So we are using a dual approach. All these mitigative factors I have explained, 5 of them, are just, for me and my staff, cosmetic. The real address to the situation is what we are doing with the Ministry of Agriculture, which is to help boost production of rice. Consequently, GAIPA, which is the agency of this ministry responsible for investments, is currently giving 90% priority to investment into agriculture. And that is being demonstrated at the moment on the ground. Some of us know about Maruo farms. Maybe you guys need to remember the one in Fulabantang. What is the name of the... There is this other gentle Gambian in Fulabantang who is also packaging rice in the Gambia now. I was so impressed 2 days ago. There was this donation of Tobaski Ramadan rice, and I saw Maruo Farm rice bags being given as a donation. We are proud of Musa, and we have, as a ministry, worked with him in the past. We'll continue to work with him to ensure he improves on his productive capacity. That is the way to go. The way forward is to produce what we eat in this country. The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Finance, like I said earlier, we are supporting, currently, I can say comfortably, that very genuine Gambians, successful businessmen, have answered to our call. We have Jah Oil in rice production as I speak to you. We have Muhammad Jah in rice production, as I speak to you. We have other Gambians, I have to master the names, so that we can share this with the public and entice and encourage our brothers and sisters, particularly those of you in the diaspora. Bring your dollars and euros and pounds and invest in producing rice. You can ask Musa Dabo. He can never have rice that is stale in his stores. Before he produces it, the demand is there waiting for it. Let us produce the rice, as long as we cannot stop consuming rice. So that is government's wider approach to solving the problem of prices, the problem of shortages can only be resolved. I always like making this reference. We know a country in Southern Africa which about a decade ago was starving. Today they are contacting us as a ministry and saying they can sell rice to us, 100% broken rice, because they have more than enough. So this is why it's important that the work we are trying to do with the Ministry of Agriculture is to support both industrial production and small-scale production. Small scale is the individual farmers, and this is going to be complemented by a very vibrant cooperative sector, so that at the individual level, when production is completed, the cooperatives will do the aggregation. They will go around to those individual farmers, those small-scale farmers, men and women who have produced rice, enough rice to eat with their family until the next harvest. Their surplus rice will be aggregated by the cooperatives and sold to these large-scale agricultural producers who will then bag and sell to the country. We can, at some point, depend on ourselves. With all this we are saying, worst case scenario, because for the past 3 to 4 months, we've been trying to lift rice from India, and it has been a little bit challenging. Now we believe we have turned a corner and the rice will be coming. But if this is to continue for a long time, what do you think is going to happen to the price and availability? So in conclusion, the Ministry of Trade will continue to think out of the box, work with our partners to ensure at the end of the day, even in our lifetime, even if 100% of what we consume is not produced at home, we reduce the deficit, reduce our import basket, so that at the end of the day, we are not only producing what we eat, healthy rice, but we'll be dealing with the issue of foreign exchange. We'll be addressing that, because the demand and the pressure on foreign exchange to bring this food will also be reduced. On that note, I thank you for coming once again, and I wish to join everyone, every Gambian, to wish ourselves, Gambians, Muslims, Christians, a very blessed period. Again, Lent and Ramadan are coinciding, and
in fact, I think we have to do it every quarter. We'll be doing it. We're inviting you to update you about the market situation of these essential commodities. The few things that the minister mentioned, if you look at the stock level report, because he is trying to emphasize the availability of the stocks that we have. And the issue is that the stock amount that he read does not mean that that is the national total stock, but it's the stock that we have captured. There are a number of importers that are importing, and we are not capturing some of those stock levels. We are sure that the reports, the stock that we report, we have more than that in country. if you have to report on everything, then this is additional assurance that we will not only have shortage of essential commodities during Ramadan, but even beyond Ramadan. Because the stock that we are looking at for the next 3 months, we will not have any shortage. Then if you are to put everything together, the stock level could go comfortably up to around 4 months. And I think this is something that we need to take note of. Then in terms of the onion, he reported about 8,500 metric tons of onion that is currently being produced by these big farmers. That if you look at our local consumption, monthly consumption is around 1,000 metric tons. That is the how do you call it? The estimate, which is a conservative one, because it's less than that. But plus one or plus and minus, then we put it to 1,000 metric tons. And if you check that, it means that for the next 8 months, we will not have a shortage of. In 8 months, we will not have a shortage of onions in the country, and this amount exclude what the women are producing. Last year, women produced more than 4,000 metric tons of onion. Then, even if you use 4,000 metric tons, meaning that what they produced last year, they will produce the same amount this year. Then you still have what? 12,500 metric tons. Then we can have, if they are not exported, we can have 10 months. We can retain that supply for 10 months. Which is a very good, because it means that every year our local production is increasing every year, and this is because of the support that government is providing. The policy environment. That we are providing, that is encouraging people to go into onion production. Women are expanding, their capacity in onion production, because last year they were able to, easily sold all what they have produced. And this year also we are working with them, to ensure that they are able to sell whatever they produce. And this is really becoming a big incentive for them, and it's pushing a lot of people into onion production, which is a good sign. Then, cement. The minister also talked about the cement, the price of cement going up. Recently, we have 2 of our major suppliers, have withdrew from the market. That is one, Gasem. Gasem is sold to a new investor, and they have not yet started the actual production. I think that this has, affected the market. We have been engaging them, and they are also working on getting a vessel, so that they can also start cement production as soon as possible. Because Gasem, Salam, and Jar Oil are the 3 major producers of cement in this country. And Jar Oil, has limited its supply, because of challenges in foreign exchange, and that has really also affected the market. But we hope that if that situation, ease, then we'll have more cement, and that will put a lot of pressure on the price. And very soon we will start. In fact, we have even started seeing the cement price going down. In some areas it's less than 400. In some areas it will be above 400. These are situations that we continue to monitor, and also continue to engage the players in the area. Then, if you look at the decline in the international price of sugar, sugar few months ago it has been increasing. At international level, now we are seeing a slight decrease in the sugar price, because usually Brazil, they started harvesting around March towards April. That's the time they started, and they are a major supplier of sugar, in the global market. And this is why now we are seeing a slight decline in the price of sugar, and this may continue for maybe 3 to 4 months period, and may even go beyond that if the other conditions also remains the same. Causes of international price international price hike. If you look at as the minister said, someone was saying you shouldn't talk about Ukraine and you should not talk about COVID. But the problem is that the Ukraine war, as long as it continues on, it affects the international supply chain. The shipping the shipping routes are affected. And now also with the war at Gaza, it is really increasing the piracy in the sea. Because also going vessels, there are certain routes that they use, which is more economical to them. And the moment, they have to divert, from those routes to new routes, it becomes very expensive and also increases the insurance cost. And this is what we have been seeing recently. The freight cost is increasing because of the increase in piracy, in the international waters. And this is a worrying situation. And this is also one of the causes of increases in the prices of commodities globally. It is not only Gambia that is being affected, but this effect has a worldwide effect, because it affects the international supply routes. The moment the international supply routes are affected, every country in the world, as long as you are importing, you are affected. But the transmission mechanism is direct. It does not have indirect effect. It has a direct effect. Then, and the exchange rate, we all know the problem that we have with the exchange rate. It's not only Gambia that is affected. If you go to Nigeria today, in fact, about 2 months ago, I was in Nigeria. When I changed $300, I became a millionaire. In fact, I was teaching the hotel reception. I told them that today I'm a millionaire in Nigeria. I hope I'm a millionaire in the Gambia, because it gives you a lot of naira. $100 it changes to thousands of naira. And we are not saying we are not concerned about what is happening in the Gambia. But relatively, if you compare to the sub-region, we are doing far better than all the countries within the sub-region, and this is something that we need to acknowledge. Because what is happening globally, no particular country is immune to that. It has a wider implication on the global economy. If you look at the global economic report, some countries are even going into recession. And there is no prediction that the economic the situation of the global economy is going to ease right now. It may take for some time, because of the geopolitics and so many other things that are happening at the global level. And I think we need, when we are looking at the domestic level, it is also important that we reflect what is happening at the international level, because Gambia is not alone, in the global in the global economy. What happened at the international level affects us, especially us, that import almost everything, because we are only a price taker. We cannot influence price at the global level. I think that is something that we need to acknowledge, and also because when suppliers import, there is what they call anticipated exchange rate price. If they think that the exchange rate, by the time I finish selling, what I have, if the exchange rate is today $64, in the next 3 weeks, it's likely to increase to $67. They try to factor that in, so that whatever they sell now, they can be able to pay for the order that they have placed, a few weeks ago. Because you have to go to the market and buy foreign currency and pay for whatever you order. Then what they are selling today, they also factor that, to ensure that they are able to get, margin that will enable them to be able to buy foreign currency in the market. This is how business people think, and we don't control, the way they think. We try to influence the way they think, by engaging them, by coming with policies that will encourage them, and policies that will also ease the environment in which they operate. I think this is something that we also need to put in, to know, because as long as the foreign exchange the dollar continue to depreciate against the international currencies that we trade with, then anytime they have stock, they have that thinking that by the time I finish selling my stock, the exchange rate, dollar price will increase. Then I have to factor that in. And these are some of the causes, that the effect of some of these things that we are feeling at the domestic level, and we will continue to engage. As the minister said, the long-term plan of government is to ensure that some of these commodities that we are importing, we are able to produce them locally, especially rice, because we have the capacity to be able to produce rice, and that will put more pressure in a more sustainable manner on the domestic price than completely relying on import. Because now in the global economy, the way it is very difficult for anyone to predict. It can change. The situation can change any moment. We are talking about the climate change. We are talking about the geopolitics. We know the global. There is crisis all over the world. And these crises have potential effect on supply of these commodities. Because imagine importing all the way from India. What goods do you use? What are the causes involved? And these causes, there are so many factors that influence it. And these are things that we need to bear in mind. And also as policymakers, we are very much aware of them, and this is why we have this long-term strategy that we'll do two-pronged approach. We make sure that we are able to engage our partners like India government. India is the major producer of rice in the world. It produces more than any other country in the world. Then if you are able to negotiate them and get it at a concessional rate, and we are able to bring it, a lot of it, that could put price on it. But this is not sustainable, as the minister said. This is just a temporal measure. The most sustainable measure is then we have to produce at the local level. Because this also helps us to save our foreign currency. Because what is happening is, because the increases in import, put pressure on foreign currency. Because you demand a high, your demand for foreign currency increases. If you are only ordering 1,000 metric tons of rice, for example, and now you are ordering about 10,000 metric tons, your demand for rice, your demand for foreign currency is positively correlated to your demand of import. Because you are not using dollars to pay. You are all using dollar to pay. You are using pounds to pay. You are using euro to pay. But the most frequent used currency in global business is dollar. And this is why dollar is getting strength. And the dollar, American government can play with dollar in anyhow they want. And now because of increase in interest rate, associated with dollar, then now all the investments are moving towards USA. And which means that it's putting a lot of pressure on dollar. Now the price of dollar is increasing almost on daily basis. In some countries, it's even very difficult to get dollar. At least here, however difficult it is, we'll be able to get small amount to continue our import. But these are things that we should be aware of, because they are not sustainable. How do we reduce our import so that we can reduce our demand for foreign currency, and also to be able to buy other imports that can help us to produce more? I think these are the few things that I want to share with you, and I thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. Once again, good morning to all of you. As Mariatu mentioned, my name is Usman Bojang. I'm the Director of Trade at the Ministry of Trade. We want to welcome you to this press briefing for the second time of recent. Basically, this one we are trying to focus on essential commodities. We want to update the public on, as we start Ramadan today, on the stock level of essential commodities in terms of availability as we runs into Ramadan, and also to give you some price levels of these essential commodities and some of the factors that are affecting the price situation in the market, as well as the effort made by government to try to contain those prices in the market.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Ministry of Trade Industry, Regional Integration and Employment on the first day of Ramadan 2024. I wish to use this opportunity on behalf of my entire staff, first to ask them to forgive me for all the pushing around and all the stepping on toes and all that, but also ask the Gambian people to forgive us for anything probably we have done over the last year that offset or somehow offended one or the other. So we pray that this Ramadan brings a lot of blessings to this country. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming. There is no doubt that the media plays a significant part in educating the public, but also sharing vital information like the one we have today. So when we invite you and you attend, we also are humbled because you could have stayed away and we would have been left with information that no one will have access to. So thanks for coming to this very important press briefing, which, as the Director of Trade has already alluded to, is aimed at sharing with the public our information, our knowledge through the media regarding the current situation with essential commodities, which is everyone's business, the stock levels and the prices as per our data in relation to food commodities. As we know, Gambia is a net food importer. Virtually all the food we eat is coming from outside, but we will be elaborating on that as we go. We want to share with the general public some factors that are responsible for prices, both externally and internally, that are currently dictating the prices in the market, so that when we go out, we are met by this price hikes sometimes, and a lot of questions are asked. So this press conference should help us share with you from the expert perspective why some of those things are having an impact on our pockets as we go. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the government of the Gambia is committed to food security in this country and also ensuring availability and accessibility of the essential food commodities for the general public. As a result, this ministry monitors commodities on a weekly basis to the best of our ability. And the main objective of this exercise is to ensure that the ministry has first-hand information on stock levels and prices of these commodities at all times. That helps us intervene in a timely manner and also inform policy decisions, as well as engage the importers and other relevant stakeholders to avoid shortages, while at the same time ensuring price stability. Permit me at this point to share with you the current stock levels of food commodities, the main ones, the essential ones, as at